Thanksgiving this year will cost 25% less than Thanksgiving last year under sleepy Joe Biden. So that's a big difference. That's a big difference. 25% less Thanksgiving. And I think that's a very good chart. They include everything that you need for Thanksgiving. So it's 25% less this year than it was last year. And that's true. That's emblematic of the rest of prices. Energy prices are way down from what they were last year. Inflation is almost non-existent. We have inflation down to a very low number, whereas Biden, as you know, is the worst inflation in the history of our country. So we're doing very well. We have a shutdown, as you probably know, because the Democrats have gone, they're crazy. But they don't care if they hurt the country. But we've approved it 14 times. We've approved it opening up 14 times, and they keep rejecting it. And I guess maybe they will again. Let's see what happens. We're a little bit above $2 right now for gasoline. Now, under Biden, it was 4.5. It even hit 5, but it was $4. $3.50. We're going to be at $2 a gallon. So gasoline is much less. Energy costs are less. When you have energy and when you have gasoline less, everything else follows. It's such a big category. So when you have lower energy prices, which I think you admit we do substantially, that means everything else. So we are the victors on affordability. But if I watched that election, which I was not much involved in, I didn't support Virginia, the candidate. Didn't do a lot of support for the other candidates. So I just heard this yesterday that Walmart said that the Thanksgiving was 25% more expensive. 25% more expensive under Biden. That's a big number, because Walmart's respected. I mean, Walmart is Walmart. And you know, they're giving you prices. So that would mean that the whole series of pricing and costs, the groceries and everything else, it was a con job. It was a con job. Affordability, they call it, was a con job by the Democrats. The Democrats are good at a few things: cheating on elections and conning people with facts that aren't true. It was 25%. Walmart just announced it 2 days ago. 25% cheaper this year will be cheaper to have Thanksgiving than it was a year ago under sleepy Joe Biden. Biden had no idea. He had no idea. I don't believe he had any idea what was happening, because he wasn't about open borders. But we had open borders, and we had millions of people come in, and they were coming in from jails, they were coming in from mental institutions, they were coming in as drug dealers. We had 11,888 murderers. Half of them committed more than one murder. We're getting them all out. We're getting them out. The basic dispute is they just don't want to stop yet. And I think they will. I think that it's taken a big toll on Russia. A big toll on both countries, obviously, but it's taken a big toll. They're losing 7,000 soldiers a week. That's a big toll. And between the two of them, divided, with Russia losing more soldiers actually, but they're both losing a lot of people. And that's the primary thing. That with me, it's not economic, it's not money. In fact, we don't spend any money. We send it to NATO. They pay us for our missiles and for our military and everything else. We don't. It's not a question of money. It was with Biden. He spent $350 billion. He got nothing for it. The war would have never happened. If I were president, the war would have never happened. I think you would agree with that. This war would never have happened if I were president. It's stupid that it happened, but it did happen. I inherited the war. And I think we're going to get it ended not too distant in the future. Biden actually pushed for that war to happen, okay, if you can believe it. Nobody can believe it, but it's one of those things. And now look what happened. Look what's happened to Ukraine. It's a much smaller country. A lot of people are dead. You take a look at what? It's a whole different world over there, and Russia has not been helped very much by that war either. They lost a tremendous number of soldiers and people. And look, that war should have been a 1-week war. This is 4 years. Should have been 1 week, should have been over with. But it would have never started, should have never started. And I would have solved the problem without giving up anything. Ukraine would have remained as is. so there were tremendous mistakes long before I got there. I inherited that mess, and we're getting it solved, along with the 8 wars that we've already ended.